pipeline deal with the Iranians, which the Americans never wanted. Pakistan signed a nuclear reactor deal with the Shah, which the Americans never wanted. Pakistanis are not going into the North Waziristan, while Americans are insisting that we should. We are not doing this. So all these are signs that Pakistani are now taking up independent stance. The story and the era of the Musharraf time, where Pakistan was throwing completely the mind, has now come to an end.
Jazakumullah, very, very interesting story you just told us. All right, let's take it further, Brother Zaid. Kashmir, let's talk a little with regards to Kashmir. Kashmir is often a thorny issue regarding the two nations. What is at present happening in Kashmir? And why won't the question in many people's mind is why won't both nations allow Kashmir to be independent? Tell us more, Zaid.
You see, Habib, the fact is, in 1948, when Pakistan was created, the founding father of Pakistan, Qajar Muhammad Ali Jinnah, at that time he said, Kashmir is the jugular of Pakistan. Whoever controls that jugular will control Pakistan.
All right.
Now, it's not just territory or the land. You can after 63 years, all Pakistani rivers flow into Pakistan from Kashmir. And Pakistan is at 70% agrarian land. It's an agricultural base. So if you block waters, you don't need to wage a war on this land. You will just simply destroy 170 million people of this nation by blocking their agriculture and water. So the fact is, Kashmir, on one hand, is critical for Pakistan. It is truly a jugular. From this point of view, that it's an access, it's a route from where Pakistan links up with China. All the rivers come into Pakistan from there. On the other hand, for the Indians, for example, if there is no pressure on India, why should they make Kashmir independent? You see, people, like example, in East Timor, when the United Nations stepped in, massive international pressure, and they forced the Indonesian government to hold elections and make Timor independent. But there is no such pressure we see on the Indians as Kashmir is concerned. So Indians are not the kind of mentality they have with the strategic of the hand that they would succumb something, surrender something without any external pressure. So, on the other hand, when the Indians feel that they can also block many rivers, which is a strategic stronghold on Pakistani economy and agriculture and line, then India takes it as a strategic weapon system to control Kashmir, not really under any pressure to give any concession. So we don't see any reason why would India give any concession. And with the weak government in Pakistan, there's no pressure on India in any case. So as the crunch time in pressure increases on Pakistan, the mood in Pakistan is going to get more serious, perhaps more violent. And Pakistan has already fought 3 or 4 wars on Kashmir. And perhaps the final war would also be on Kashmir, but that perhaps would be the war which would decide the fate of any of the two nations. Either Pakistan would owe India, because they're nuclear weapon states. The situation in that case could be unpredictable. There's no doubt about that India is going to suffer if the pressure on Indians is not there today to withdraw, to lay off from their stance on Kashmir. It's not just a question of land and people and territory. For the past 62 years, Pakistanis have been delaying the issue, hoping that somebody would step in. But now when the Indians are blocking our water, it becomes a matter where Pakistan would respond, and respond ruthlessly, with or without the world with them.
All right, Jazakumullah. Jazakallah, Zaid. You know, you should talk to us more on Radio Islam in South Africa. I'm really enjoying your explanations thoroughly. Jazakumullah.
You're most welcome. And when you call, inshallah, your brothers from here with you.
Wonderful. Jazakumullah. Let's talk a little, sorry to take up your time, just a bit of Afghanistan. You know, Zaid, hardly any news comes out of Afghanistan nowadays. Is Taliban in a strong position, and will they re-emerge to rule Afghanistan again?
You see, the fact is that the Americans and the NATO are the most confused, disoriented, and disorganized at this moment in any past 10 years. And the fact is that Afghan Taliban are gaining ground every day. Very simple fact, Americans are begging Pakistan to intercede and help them find that strategy is the US and the NATO vulnerabilities and weaknesses in Afghanistan. Now, Afghan themselves, the army that they trained, the army of Karzai, is incompetent in any form to hold Afghanistan once the NATO withdraw from here. So the Americans have no option. Either trying to hold on to it somehow, keep sending the body, which they are doing now every day. Then they came up with the Lebanon option. As we said, they want to divide Afghanistan into hostile zone and a non-hostile zone. And then the third option is they arm countries to intercede and try to find some kind of an exit formula for them where they talk to Taliban. They have no choice but now talk to Taliban. Because it's not just the Afghan Taliban. You see, they call it Taliban, but actually there are multiple groups of Pashtuns which are resisting the Americans. There's a group of Gulbuddin Hekmatyar. He is not Taliban. There's a group of Jalaluddin Haqqani. He is not Taliban. So within the world they say Taliban, but within themselves they say it's the ACM, the anti-coalition militia.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a wider access of Pashtuns. Basically, it's the Pashtuns who are resisting them. So Pakistan have a clout within Pashtuns very strongly. Jalaluddin Ali's men are based in North Waziristan, and Pakistan is not attacking them, and I'm very upset about this for the simple reason that Pakistan wants to keep their bet, hedging their bets for the future. You see, Pakistan has never fought any war against Afghan Taliban. Pakistani operations are only against the local Pakistani Taliban, who are basically backed and sponsored by the CIA and RAW. And who do not fight against the Americans, but fight only against the state of Pakistan and the Pakistani people. So this is something that the Americans are extremely upset about. So there is no doubt about this, that sooner or later, a grand coalition of a jirga or a dialogue has to be constituted, where Taliban will have to be accepted as a legitimate party to the conflict, where Pakistan will have to play a much larger role. Pakistan would be in Pashtuns, and he would be influencing the Tajiks and the Uzbeks and the Hazaras.
Yeah.
And the point is that Pakistan and Iran have come very close lately, defying Americans, and this is something Americans are very upset about.
Yeah.
So if Pakistan and Iran, with the Chinese at their back, decide to play an aggressive and active role in Afghanistan, NATO and the Americans have absolutely no choice but to accept to what these regional powers say and dictate to them, rather because now their supplies go through Pakistan. If any hostile government to the Americans comes, or the public pressure mounts, and the supply Americans are choked from Pakistan, Americans are dead meat. Believe me, they are dead meat in 2 months in Afghanistan. Every drop of fuel they use goes through Pakistan.
Yeah.
And Americans have absolutely no way, no possibility to replenish or an alternate supply routes.
Okay.
So Americans are too dependent on Pakistan right now. And any strong government and their army is the unfortunate part is that Pakistani political government is corrupt, sold out.
Okay.
So that's where the problem is coming for Pakistani state. But as this government pushes on its own weight, under his own custom, and the army and the patriots take more aggressive role, we see that the Americans would be squeezed and forced to come to the terms that the Pakistani patriots give them.
Right, Zaid, Jazakumullah. One more question regarding the Taliban. Why are the United States, with all this sophisticated weaponry and technology, not able to find Osama bin Laden and Mullah Omar? Any news on whether they are alive and well, Zaid?
You see, about the fact is that Afghans are local fighters.
Yeah.
Soviet occupation, when the Soviet Union was there in the 80s, I was a young fighter fighting alongside the Afghan resistance. I fought in Afghanistan for 6 years against the Soviets, alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
You see, so I know from experience that even the mighty Soviet army, there were 500,000 Soviet troops in Afghanistan, and they could not contain a single village. In the daytime it would, at night it was ours.
Yeah.
And Americans and NATO are only less than 100,000 troops. There is no possibility that they can contain a country like Afghanistan. And especially, they are an occupation force. They don't speak the local language. There's a betrayal within the Afghan army. Taliban has penetrated the Karzai government and the armed forces and the police. And over the last 10 years, Taliban have developed sophisticated IEDs, improvised explosive devices, which have taken more casualties of US and NATO forces than any other weapon. So it's basically a nightmare. And you would see that all their latest operations in the south, in the Sangin district, in Kandahar, in all these regions, have bitterly failed. And in fact, British forces are pulling out from the deadly zones and hand over to the Americans to be slaughtered there. Actually, there are reports, confirmed reports, that the Americans and NATO forces are paying to Taliban millions of dollars for the transit of their containers and for the protection and security. I mean, it's more comical than this.
Yeah.
That the occupation force is paying the resistance for protection. You see?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what it has come down to. So now you tell me, even intellectually, there is a reason why General McChrystal spoke of the division between the U.S. Army and the U.S. political government. The Army commander of Afghanistan theater had to be sacked because he spoke out against the follies and the blunders of the political government. So this is what is happening. The number of suicide cases is higher than the number of troops killed in action.
Okay.
When armies reach this level, that means they're already doomed. It's only a matter of time.
All right. Brother Zaid, final question. I know you have a very, very busy schedule. Last question. In the recent months and days, we have had many, many bombs at markets and masjids. So what is the reason for all these bombs at markets and masjids and also civilian deaths in Pakistan? Is there a third force at work? Tell us.
You see, Habibi, the American presence in Afghanistan have allowed Indians to operate with impunity from Afghanistan into Pakistan.
Okay.
And every explosive device, technology, weapons, money, everything that is being used in Pakistan is flowing in from Afghanistan. That is why two resistance groups, Indian groups, one of them is from Balochistan, the other is the Pashtun of the Tehreek-e-Taliban. And these ruthless people, they belong to the ideology of takfir or khajis, perhaps they are called by scholars here. They declare Pakistani Muslims as non-Muslims, as kafirs, you see. And they justify the slaughter and murder of millions and people and women and children and a bomb blast in masjids. But also the fact is that in Pakistan, the judicial system has completely failed to respond to the threat of terrorism. In the last 10 years, the judiciary has not hanged a single terrorist. And when the Quran says that in qisas, there is hayat for you, there is life for you. And there is no qisas, there is no justice in Pakistan. Judicial system, judges are scared, police is scared, witnesses don't come forward to testify. That puts the pressure on the army to engage these on the battlefront and eliminate them on the battlefront and not hand them over to the system, because the system has already collapsed. You see? And that is why they have the courage with impunity. If the law is there, if the law is applied, if the nation supports a ruthless process of justice for these very ruthless terrorists, then of course, I don't see any problem why this cancer cannot be treated, cannot be cured. It needs certain amputations, need to be done, but be ruthless, because desperate call for desperate measures. There were not seen senseless terrorist bombings as Pakistan has suffered in the last 2 years. But we'll have to come out of the box solutions to these terrorists who are backed by the Indians, who are backed by the CIA. And the objective, of course, as we said earlier, is the balkanization of Pakistan. Inshallah, that will never happen.
Inshallah. Brother Zaid Hamid, Jazakumullah Habibi, you gave us a better understanding really of the present and developing crisis in that region. May Allah wa ta'ala be with the Muslims and also project, and may Allah give izzah to Islam and Muslims. Jazakallah, my brother. Wonderful talking to you, and talk to you soon, inshallah, again.
Thank you, Habibi. Jazakallah khair. Allah yasallamak. Ma'as salama.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.